My name is Wes Doss, and I'm the president of Kyber Interactive Associates, a specialized emergency response training, research, and consulting firm, as well as being the worldwide training provider for Systema Engineering, the manufacturers of the Systema training weapon. It's my goal today to provide you with some information to allow you to make an educated decision on the viability of the Systema training weapon as a training tool in both force-on-force and use-of-force training for law enforcement and military application. The value of the Systema training weapon, the dedicated training weapon, over and above those other systems that are currently in use by both the military and law enforcement in the United States, is that it accurately replicates an actual duty weapon. It fires a projectile that costs pennies. The initial buy-in to the product over the course of a year to 2 years of heavy, intense training would pay for itself 10 times over. It's a very cost-effective tool. What we have here is the M4 configuration, or the M4A1 configuration, with some minor modifications on it that Systema manufactures. At all outward appearances, again, it looks just like an M4. What separates it apart from other like weapons of this type is the fact that it is a metal machined receiver and upper, removable carrying handle, removable hand guards. It is essentially an M4. Everything about it is exactly as an M4. It functions like an M4. It operates like an M4. It loads like an M4. It disassembles. It reassembles. The armory procedures for the exterior of the weapon outside of the specialized gearbox is as an M4. The magazines that are designed specifically for the Systema weapon are just like a normal AR-15 or M16 line of weapons, except they've been modified to only accept rounds that are designed for these weapons as well as load into these weapons. They are also designed by the manufacturer to be in limited capacity, like a 30-round or a 20-round magazine. They load exactly like a real weapon would. They remove from a weapon like a real weapon would. Everything about it is exactly the same way that the real M4 would be. What's of particular value is that anybody who's currently familiar with the M16, the M4, or the AR-15 line of weapons would be automatically familiar with this weapon. It disassembles just like a normal weapon would be. It breaks apart exactly the same way. Goes right back together, just like a real weapon. The training weapon is completely upgradable. For instance, this particular one has an aftermarket railed forearm on it, thus allowing it to accept all types of aftermarket applications. This particular one has an aftermarket light, remote-controlled light attached to it, as well as a current generation Crimson Trace vertical forearm with a laser installed into it. One of the biggest benefits is the liability insulation side of it, that the weapon, though accurately replicating a real M16 or M16 line of weapons, cannot in any way, shape, or form ever chamber a live, an actual 5.56 millimeter round. A real round cannot enter into this weapon. No matter what happens in the training environment, no matter what type of accident occurs in the training environment, no matter how many unintentional rounds end up in the training environment, they cannot be chambered in these weapons. They cannot be forced to fire in these weapons, thus creating a very safe environment. One of the most intense and primary things that we do at Kyber is force-on-force training and reality-based training. It's one of the things that we try to incorporate in literally all our training programs, is accurate event replication. It's stimulus response training, accurate conditioning, and reaction time enhancement. Operating in an actual environment that a soldier or a police officer or a security specialist might be called to operate into is of just immeasurable benefit to us. A weapon like this that fires a non-marking cartridge that is of limited velocity allows us to literally go into any environment and replicate literally any situation. I can take this into a normal residential structure and run a scenario. I can take it into a parking garage and run a scenario. I can take it into an office building and run a scenario with very little pre-preparation to the structure, as opposed to some of the other systems that are available where we might have to cover up glass or windows or intense cleanup after the fact. This allows us to accurately replicate a situation down to the finest detail. This particular weapon and the line that Systema is coming out with, though they are similar to other systems that are currently being used for game purposes and toy purposes, it needs to be crystal clear that these particular devices are not intended to be used as toys. These are for the exclusive use of law enforcement and military in this country. From a trainer standpoint, we've been looking for something that even holds greater realism. These Systemas are, for all intents and purposes, they are an M16. They're completely different. In fact, they're the only one that's currently being introduced and marketed solely to law enforcement and military in this country. It looks, it acts, it responds, it smells like a real weapon. You can put custom sights on it, you can put optics on it, you can put lights on it, just like a real firearm. 6,000 rounds will cost you about $10 to $15. It's a bag of BBs, and they're reusable until they break. We're training to save lives, protect lives. It would behoove any department to stand back and take an educated look at what it can provide. As a responsible trainer, I'm confident in saying that nobody can be unnecessarily injured by the use of this device. Without a doubt, this is the best force-on-force training system available, bar none.